I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Harrison, and he's going to go into details about logistics and about overarching models to begin a dialogue with the board and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Nicholas.
Board President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas, thank you. Before I start this presentation, which we're calling Reopening of Lambertville Unified School District Schools, an overview, by no means is this everything and all the planning that we're doing to move into the 2021 school year. But this is an overview and a look at the things we have been doing, continue to work on, and what we're looking to move into in the future. And the decisions and the actions that we're taking are, as Dr. Nicholas stated, are with guidance from the county Public Health and the County Office of Education. So when we're looking at standards of behavior or what our expectations are for reopening when it comes to students, parents, employees, we're looking for employees to self-screen before they come to work. Do they have any conditions related to COVID-19? Do a self-evaluation before you leave the house. We also are looking for parents to screen the child prior to daily school attendance. Before they send their kids to school, do their kids exhibit a temperature of 100.4 or higher, or any of the other symptoms that we're all very familiar with at this point. Social distancing. We need to train our parents and our students and our staff for that matter that social distancing is appropriate. Before or after school, recess, during PE, passing, lunch, in class, all those times we have to provide for each other by providing a 6 foot distance. Now, can we always do that? No. We may have situations where we cannot do that. And at those times, maybe the use of a mask is appropriate. Maybe we need to have students wear a mask when they cannot social distance. Now, we're going to have these conversations with teachers and staff and with their units, their bargaining units, LTA and CSA, and discuss expectations, discuss how we can make our students feel safe, our staff feel safe, and some of that may involve wearing a mask at times when social distancing is not available. We want to remind everybody about respiratory hygiene, sneezing into their elbow, using a tissue when available, etc., to keep practicing that respiratory hygiene. We also want to remind and teach some of our students and staff what regular washing, what sanitizing your hands really looks like. And communication with our parents during this time is very important. Not only are we going to have to communicate with our parents, but we're also going to have to kind of train them in this is how you prepare your child to come to school in this atmosphere. So sanitation and safeguards, staff and student safety. For the last 6 weeks or so, I've been hosting a PPE working group, which is a group of representative members of our school district. An LTA representative, a principal, and staff, both district office staff, classified staff, and nutrition services. And what we've been doing is we've been reviewing guidelines from the CDE, from the CDC, and all of the other letter abbreviations that we've been working with when it comes to what we need to do to address COVID-19 and returning to school. So we've looked at cleaning schedules and frequency. We've developed videos for not only staff, but for the public to see what it looks like when we appropriately clean a classroom or a facility. We also have created sanitization videos where we can show younger kids what is proper hand cleaning. How do you use a mask appropriately? How do you use gloves appropriately if you're a staff member and you are using gloves, let's say in the kitchen area? And then also we are providing a video montage of what safe food preparation looks like. Because parents are sending their kids to school and many of them buy lunch. If I'm a parent, I'm asking myself, what does that lunch look like? How is it being prepared? We have a video that will reveal to parents what it's going to look like and how safe our production is. The other thing that we've talked about is what does every learning space need when it comes to this new era? And we've talked about hand sanitizer in the classrooms, the ability to wash the hands in the classroom, cleaning classroom spaces on a regular basis more than one time a day. And we've also talked about how do we optimize staff time and how do we make sure that we have enough staff time to complete the necessary cleaning. So as this group has met, we've talked about staff processes, reopening of schools, time efficiency, and visitor limitations. At the moment, we do not allow more than one visitor in our office at a time, and that may continue into the school year. But we've talked about adding more office safeguards for our employees, plastic screens. All the offices now have hand sanitizer on the wall, but things of that nature to keep our staff safe when a visitor comes to the campus. We've also talked about limiting visitors to the campus that come onto campus proper during this time. So I'm going to talk about some models, some potential models that we've talked about as a group, and what it may look like when school starts, when we're talking K-8 and high school. But I want to be very clear, the final model will be based on a number of students. We can talk about various models for hours, but we won't know what model we're going to need until we know what students and parents, what their requisite needs are to return to school. So TK8, what might school look like? So when I say regular, I mean regular school with all of the cleaning and all of the additional safety practices that we would have in place. What does it look like? It could be a modified entry, modified lunch where we have cohorts of students grouped and they strategically eat lunch in designated areas on the campus. It could mean distancing in class halls and recess, etc. A staggered exit time for the different grade levels. It would be similar to the common school day where you meet 5 days a week, but we'd have these safety procedures in place during the school day. There's been talk about a hybrid schedule. Now, hybrid has a multitude of meetings. It could be an A-B schedule, meaning that half the kids attend school on Monday, the other half attend school on Tuesday, and then again on Wednesday and Thursday, and every other Friday. It could mean that you have half the students attend school as an A group in the morning, and the other half attend as a B group in the afternoon, and you work that through. The whole idea with the hybrid schedule is you have smaller groups of students or smaller cohorts of students working together and not intermingling or mixing with other groups of students. So the hybrid schedule would also include a modified entry. You would have smaller cohorts of students, modified lunch again, distancing again, staggered exit. And half the work would be done at school and half the work would be done at home. So it would be kind of a blended model. Now, when we talk about modified lunch, I'll expand on that a little bit. Right now, if you're a student going to Bethany, there are 3 lunches with about 300 students. We may need to change to 5 lunches, or we may need to change the 3 lunches to split in half, 120 students in the MPR and the other half of the student outside with a picnic lunch. So these are the things that we're considering when we talk about the different schedules for the K-8. Now, when you're talking about students and parents that would like their students to not attend school in person, there's a Lambersville Virtual Learning Academy, which we've been working on for weeks now. It's a rigorous online learning, teacher-led with parent co-teaching. There'd be limited access to electives and limited access to extra and co-curriculars. So high school, what might that look like? So you could have the regular, and remember when I say regular day, that's with all the safety precautions in place. When I say strategic passing, I mean lanes in the halls that go one direction, stairwells that go up and stairwells that go down, and you can only go one direction in the stairwells, so we keep students spaced out and going the same direction. Markings on the floor every 6 feet, so students know that's how far 6 feet is, that's how far apart I'm supposed to stay. You could have separate release times. When you look at the block schedule, you could release students at a staggered rate so they're not all in the hallway at the same time. And of course, distancing in the classrooms and the halls, et cetera, would still be expected. A modified entry, staggered exit, and this regular schedule is common to the regular school day. It'd be 5 days a week. When you look at a block schedule could be a schedule that is an A-B schedule again like the elementary. However, you could have an A schedule being Monday where you have 3 classes that you attend, and on Tuesday you attend the other 3 classes in a block nature. Now you may ask, what good is that? They're still going to school. Well, you have less passing and you have less contact with larger groups of students because you only pass 3 times in the day, including a lunch. So you'd have fewer group contacts in a day. Blocks could be anywhere from 90 to 120 minutes. You could stagger exit again with separate release times for students. And then this would involve some teacher training, because when you have students in a classroom moving from 45 minutes to 90 to 120 minutes, there's some teacher training involved in pulling this off. There's the online program at the high school, which is a rigorous online learning. The content is via Edgenuity, a little different than the K-8 program, which has limited access to electives that are taught on the high school campus and limited access to extra and co-curricular activities. So considerations. So all the considerations that we're making and talking about are items that have been communicated by the County Office of Education and the San Joaquin County of Public Health. And what we really need is we need to identify the number of families in each program, or who desires the individual programs, as Dr. Nicholas pointed out. The survey results we gathered from June 10th through June 16th were very telling, and in some cases they were a little alarming because of the number of choices that were made in certain categories. Lambertville Unified School District has to be able to staff all of the options. And that staffing, not only do we have to consider the staffing of a unique program, but we also have to consider the staffing that you're pulling away from a site and how the students are being served that are going to that school site. There needs to be a clear understanding of the consequences of selecting different options. Teacher movement, student movement, loss of school of residence, split families, all of these things will occur depending on what program we offer. As Dr. Nicholas mentioned, Cordis could become the LVLA hub. One of the things that we've been considering is if there's a presumptive positive, could result in a transition to distance learning in one fell swoop, within hours, until a proof of negative or students no longer contagious. If that happens, we could have a whole class of students transition to distance learning along with their teacher if this occurred. So those are things that we're planning for. How does that transition work? How do we communicate to parents? And then how are we delivering that content for that occurrence? So as Dr. Nicholas pointed out, we're going to do a follow-up study, and we're calling it a study because that's what we need. We need to study what families need in our community, and we need to study what we can provide to our families in this community. I want to make very clear that the student population and what is chosen by the parents and the students of what program they would like to have in the fall is going to dictate how our numbers look when it comes to different programs that we can offer. So the survey revealed a few things to us, the last survey. 51% of families responded to the survey, so that was 1,900 out of about 3,800 families. 50% of the respondents wanted to have in-school learning with safety measures. 579 families of 1,131 families from the high school responded to the survey. So one of the things that we ask ourselves is, okay, so those families that did not respond, do they want to go to school like normal school occurred a year ago, or with the safety precautions? So this leads us to need more follow-up and maybe more participation. So really, in conclusion, we need more information with a sharpened focus to identify the optimal models that we can provide and implement to serve our community.